Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between two of the 2019 Challenger decks. Over here we have Arcane Tempo and over there we have Deadly Discovery. We're going to be playing the best of three with these two decks, sideboarding in between, and we'll see how it goes. We'll go ahead and roll to see who goes first. Arcane Tempo rolls 7. Deadly Discovery rolls 5. Arcane Tempo will opt to go first. Arcane Tempo will draw. Arcane Tempo gets a Radical Idea, Crackling Drake, Is It Guildgate, Mountain, Island, Island, and Island. This is a bit of a slow hand here, however, because we have the Radical Idea, I think we keep this and hope that we can draw into non-lands here. Deadly Discovery draws a Wildgrowth Walker, Jadelight Ranger, Cast Down, Forest, Llanowar Elves, Golgari Guildgate, Llanowar Elves. I think this is okay. We're short on lands here, but we can cast Llanowar Elves, which should help. Turn 1, Arcane Tempo will play the Is It Guildgate. It comes into the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it for blue or red mana. Deadly Discovery draws, gets a Forest, will play the Forest, will tap the Forest, and will play a Llanowar Elf. This is a 1/1 Elf Druid, and you can tap it to add green. Arcane Tempo untaps, they draw, they get an island, will play the island, and then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets an Eldest Reborn. Deadly Discovery is going to play a Forest, and then we'll tap the Forest and the Llanowar Elves to play the Wildgrowth Walker. This is a 1/3 elemental. Whenever a creature you control explores, put a +1/+1 counter on Wildgrowth Walker and you gain 3 life. And then we'll tap the last Forest to play yet another Llanowar Elf. And then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. At the end of Deadly Discovery's turn, Arcane Tempo will tap the Is It Guildgate and the island to cast Radical Idea. It's an instant, says draw a card, and you can jumpstart it to cast it from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs and exiling the card. So we'll draw another card, which is a Lava Coil. Arcane Tempo untaps, Arcane Tempo draws, gets a Goblin Electromancer. Arcane Tempo will play a Mountain. We'll tap the Mountain and the island to play the Goblin Electromancer. This is a 2/2 Goblin Wizard, and instants and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We'll tap the Is It Guildgate to cast Lava Coil. It's a sorcery. If it deals 4 damage to target creature, if the creature would die this turn, exile it instead. We'll target the Wildgrowth Walker to deal 4 damage to it. Deadly Discovery has no response. This will kill the Wildgrowth Walker and then exile it. Then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a Merfolk Branch Walker. Deadly Discovery will tap 3 mana, 2 Forests, and a Llanowar Elf to play the Jadelight Ranger. This is a 2/1 Merfolk Scout. When it enters the battlefield, it explores and explores again. We'll do the first exploration. We will look at the swamp. We'll put it into our hand. We'll do the second exploration, which is looking at the Memorial to Folly, and then we'll put that into our hand. We will then play the swamp, and then we'll tap the Llanowar Elf and the swamp, and we'll also play the Merfolk Branch Walker. This is a 2/1 Merfolk Scout, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores. We'll go ahead and reveal the card. It's a Seeker Squire. We will put this into the graveyard, which will put a +1/+1 counter on the Merfolk Branch Walker, making it a 3/2. And then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets a Charter Course. Arcane Tempo will play an island, and then we will tap everything and play the Crackling Drake. This is a star 4 Drake with flying, and its power is equal to the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. There are 2 right now, so it is a 2/4, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. We'll draw, we get a shock, and then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a Ravenous Chupacabra. Deadly Discovery will play the Golgari Guildgate tapped, and then we will tap 5 mana to play the Eldest Reborn. This is a saga, and for the first step, each opponent will sacrifice a creature or planeswalker. The second step, each opponent discards a card, and the third step, put target creature or planeswalker from a graveyard into the battlefield under your control. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put a counter on it, and we're going to each sacrifice a creature. We will choose to sacrifice the Jadelight Ranger. Arcane Tempo will choose to sacrifice the Goblin Electromancer, and then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets an Is It Guildgate. Arcane Tempo will play the Is It Guildgate tapped, Arcane Tempo will tap a mountain and play Shock, dealing 2 damage to the Merfolk Branchwalker, increasing the total power of Crackling Drake to 3. Merfolk Branchwalker dies. Arcane Tempo will attack with Crackling Drake for 3. Deadly Discovery takes 3 and goes down to 17. Arcane Tempo will tap 2 islands and then play Charter Course. It's a sorcery, draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you attack with a creature this turn. We attack, so we'll just draw 2. We get another Charter Course and a Lava Coil, and then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a District Guide. We will tick up the Saga, which will force Arcane Tempo to discard a card. Arcane Tempo discards an island. Deadly Discovery will tap 4 mana and cast Ravenous Chupacabra. This is a 2/2 beast horror. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. Will target the Crackling Drake. The Drake dies. Deadly Discovery will play Memorial to Folly tapped and will attack with the 2 Llanowar Elves for 2. Arcane Tempo takes 2 and goes to 18. Then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets a Murmuring Mystic. Arcane Tempo will play an island, will tap 5 mana, and play the Murmuring Mystic. This is a 1/5 human wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 blue bird illusion creature token with flying. And then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a cast down, will trigger the Eldest Reborn to the 3rd step, which says put target creature or Planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. We'll choose to get the Jadelight Ranger back, and then we will sacrifice the Eldest Reborn. Jadelight Ranger will explore twice. We'll take a look at the forest, put it into our hand. We'll take a look at the Wildgrowth Walker, and we'll leave that right on top. We'll put a counter on Jadelight Ranger, and then we will play a forest. We'll spend 2 mana to play Cast Down, targeting the Murmuring Mystic. It says destroy target non-legendary creature. Murmuring Mystic dies. Deadly Discovery will attack with the team for 4. Arcane Tempo takes 4 and goes to 14. And Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets an Opt. Arcane Tempo will spend 1 mana and play the Opt. It says scry 1, then draw a card. We'll look at the Charter Course, and we will draw the Charter Course, and then we will spend 2 mana and cast Charter Course, and we'll draw 2 and then discard 1. We drew a Blink of an Eye and an island. We will discard the island, and then we'll pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, Deadly Discovery draws, gets a Wildgrowth Walker. Deadly Discovery will attack with the whole team for 7 damage. Arcane Tempo takes 7 and goes to 7. Deadly Discovery will spend 2 and play a Wildgrowth Walker. Then we'll spend 3 and play a District Guide. We'll go searching for a basic land, which will be a swamp. Put that in our hand, we'll shuffle. And then we will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets a Goblin Electromancer. We'll spend 2 and play the Goblin Electromancer, and then we'll spend 1 red mana to play Lava Coil, targeting the Wildgrowth Walker. The Wildgrowth Walker is exiled. We'll spend 1 more mana to play Charter Course. We'll draw 2 and discard 1. We drew 2, we will discard the Mountain, and then we will spend 1 red mana to cast Shock, targeting the Jadelight Ranger. The Jadelight Ranger dies, and then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets Vraska Relic Seeker. We'll play the Swamp. We'll spend 6 mana and play Vraska Relic Seeker. This is a legendary Planeswalker Vraska. It enters the battlefield with 6 loyalty, and for +2 you can create a 2/2 black pirate creature token with Menace. For -3 you can destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment, and create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. For -10, target life player's total becomes 1. We will immediately -3 Vraska to take her to 3 loyalty to destroy the Goblin Electromancer. In response, Arcane Tempo will tap the island and cast Blink of an Eye, targeting the District Guide. The Goblin Electromancer will die. Deadly Discovery will pick up the District Guide. Deadly Discovery will attack with the Ravenous Chupacabra and the 2 Llanowar Elves for 5. Arcane Tempo takes 5 and goes to 2. And Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets a Radical Idea. Arcane Tempo will spend 2 mana and cast Radical Idea to draw a card. Draw an Opt, will spend 1 more mana to opt. We'll scry, look at the Sulphur Falls, put it on the bottom, and then draw a card. We get a shock. Arcane Tempo needs more than a shock to survive the next turn, so Arcane Tempo will jumpstart another Radical Idea, tapping these 2, exiling this Radical Idea, pitching the shock to draw another card, which is a mountain, and Arcane Tempo has nothing left, so they will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets the Eldest Reborn. Deadly Discovery should have gotten a treasure. We'll use one of these dice to mark the treasure. We'll +2 Vraska up to 5 and get a pirate. We'll use this to mark a pirate. And then we will attack with the Ravenous Chupacabra and the 2 Llanowar Elves for lethal. Arcane Tempo's got nothing, we'll take lethal and we'll perish. We'll be right back with sideboarding. So Deadly Discovery is going to decline to sideboard, but Arcane Tempo will be replacing 3 shocks with 3 fiery candidates to deal with the swarm of creatures that Deadly Discovery can put into the battlefield. Deadly Discovery will opt to go first. We'll draw 7. Deadly Discovery draws a Cast Down, Golgari Finebroker, District Guide, Vraska Relic Seeker, Woodland Cemetery, Cast Down, and Forest. We're a little short on mana here. We don't have a 2-drop, but I think the District Guide will help us with the mana if we just draw 1 more. And so we will keep this hand as sketchy as it is. Arcane Tempo draws 7. We get a Beacon Bolt, Murmuring Mystic, Shock, Fiery Cannonade, Island. Island is at Guildgate. We have 3 mana. We have some things to cast and defend ourselves, so we're going to keep this hand, even though it doesn't have much in the early game. Deadly Discovery will start by playing a Forest, and then we'll pass the turn. Arcane Tempo draws, gets a Lava Coil, we'll play the Izzet Guildgate tapped, and then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery draws, gets a Jade Light Ranger. Deadly Discovery will play the Woodland Cemetery. It is a land, it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a swamp or a forest. We do control a forest. And then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets a Sulphur Falls. Arcane Tempo will probably play the Sulphur Falls tapped, because we don't have anything else to cast, and then we will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery draws, gets a forest, we'll play the forest, and then Deadly Discovery will spend 3 mana to cast the District Guide. We'll search for a swamp, put that on our hand, we'll shuffle, and then we'll pass the turn. At the end of the turn, Arcane Tempo will tap the Guildgate for red and cast Shock, targeting the District Guide. The District Guide goes down. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets an Opt. Arcane Tempo will play an Island, and then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a Swamp. Deadly Discovery will play the Swamp. Deadly Discovery will spend 4 mana to play the Golgari Finebroker. This is a 3/4 Elf Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, return target a permanent card from our graveyard to our hand. We'll take the District Guide and put it back in our hand. And then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. At the end of Deadly Discovery's turn, Arcane Tempo will tap the island and cast Opt. We'll scry, we'll take a look at the island and stick that on the bottom. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a forest. We'll play the forest. Deadly Discovery will spend 2 mana and cast Down, targeting the Murmuring Mystic, destroys a target non-legendary creature. Murmuring Mystic goes down. Deadly Discovery will attack with Golgari Finebroker for 3. Arcane Tempo takes 3 and goes to 17. Deadly Discovery will spend 3 mana, and we will replay the District Guide. We'll grab another swamp. We'll shuffle. And then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets an island. We'll play an island, Arcane Tempo will spend 2 mana and cast Lava Coil, targeting the Golgari Finebroker. The Finebroker is exiled, and then Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a Llanowar Elf, will play a Swamp. Deadly Discovery will attack with the District Guide for 2. Arcane Tempo will take 2 and go to 15. Deadly Discovery will tap out and play Vraska again. Immediately +2 Vraska to 8, and then make a 2/2 pirate, and then Deadly Discovery will pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets a Lava Coil. Arcane Tempo will play the island. Arcane Tempo will cast Beacon Bolt, targeting the pirate to deal 3 damage to the pirate. Pirate dies, and Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a Swamp. Deadly Discovery will play the Swamp. Deadly Discovery will tick up Vraska to 10, making another pirate. Will attack with the District Guide for 2. Arcane Tempo will take 2 and go to 13. We'll spend 3 mana to cast the Jade Light Ranger. We'll explore. We'll draw the Woodland Cemetery. We'll explore. We'll take the Llanowar Elves and put it in the graveyard, putting a counter on the Jade Light Ranger. And then we will spend 1 more mana to play a Llanowar Elf, and then we'll pass the turn. At the end of the turn, Arcane Tempo will spend 3 mana to cast Fiery Cannonade. It is an instant, it deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. This kills the District Guide, the Jade Light Ranger, and the Llanowar Elf. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets a Radical Idea. We'll spend 2 mana and cast Radical Idea to draw. We get a mountain. We'll spend 2 mana to cast Radical Idea from the graveyard, exiling it, discarding the mountain to draw. We get a Sulphur Falls. We will spend 2 mana to cast Lava Coil, targeting the pirate. The pirate is exiled, and Arcane Tempo will pass the turn. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets the Eldest Reborn. Deadly Discovery will play a Woodland Cemetery. Deadly Discovery will tick up Vraska to 12, getting another pirate. Deadly Discovery will then pass the turn. Arcane Tempo untaps, draws, gets an Opt. We'll spend 1 mana to cast the Opt. We'll scry. We'll draw the Crackling Drake. We'll spend 4 mana and play the Crackling Drake. We'll draw a card. The Crackling Drake is a 7/4. We'll play the Sulphur Falls, and then we will pass the turn. At the end of Arcane Tempo's turn, Deadly Discovery will tap a 4-stone swamp and cast Down, targeting the Crackling Drake. Arcane Tempo will tap the Sulphur Falls, we'll cast Opt, we'll scry. We will put the Sulphur Falls on the bottom and draw a card. Do a Goblin Electromancer. The Crackling Drake then dies. Deadly Discovery untaps, draws, gets a Seeker Squire. Deadly Discovery will -10 Vraska to make Arcane Tempo's life 1, taking the loyalty to 2. Arcane Tempo goes to 1. And Deadly Discovery will attack with the 2/2 Pirate to finish off Arcane Tempo for the win. So both of these games went really, really badly for Arcane Tempo. They just were not able to keep a creature on the battlefield alive. The deck has 2 dive downs to protect their threats, and despite the massive amount of card draw and filtering that we had, the deck still was not able to keep up with the resource generation of Deadly Discovery. Now, Deadly Discovery did have a Planeswalker, which I think Arcane Tempo is not well geared to deal with. And so that was part of the win for them, and just being able to go wide and not falter in the draws also really helped Deadly Discovery a lot. But if you have experience with these decks, let me know what your thoughts were about them in the comments below. If you have better experience with the sideboard and had better ideas on how to sideboard against each deck, also let me know. I think in retrospect, Arcane Tempo should have taken the play for the second game instead of trying to play a little bit more defensively, and that was a tactical mistake on my part. But any thoughts, I welcome them in the comments. If you found this video enjoyable, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.